Good morning and welcome to Carolina Cares, an iHeartMedia production. I'm Tyler Ryan. Today we're talking about a time-honored tradition, a 107, give or take my shady math, year tradition, and that is the tradition of scouting, Boy Scouting, the leadership that's taught, the knots that are taught, and it's a true story. If you are the few scouts who make it to that pinnacle, that Eagle Scout, it's something that you attach to your resume. But the question is why? What makes it so special? Today we're going to speak with Doug Stone, who is the Executive Director of the Indian Waters Council, the Midlands, essentially, Council of the Boy Scouts of America here. And also, we're going to talk about some of the changes that I'm sure you have heard about in scouting, but it's going to turn out for us this morning that some of the things that we think are changes, that are new, that are different, really aren't so different. Yeah, how's that for a tease, right? Well, stay with us. Carolina Cares. We'll be right back.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com.
Stay focused. Now that's a major key alert.
Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Carolina Cares. I'm Tyler Ryan. This morning we're talking with a very changing, ever-changing group of people, of young people primarily, the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts of America since 1910 have been teaching, well, not really, but besides that, teaching leadership, life skills, and just things that you can take with you from the Cub Scouts and the Webelos to adulthood, eventually some of which become Eagle Scouts. And being an Eagle Scout is something you attach to a resume. It's something that you earn, and very few people actually reach that pinnacle of scouting, in the world of scouting. Today we welcome this morning, amongst a whole studio full of people we'll get to in a few minutes, Doug Stone. You are the Executive Director of the Indian Waters Council of the Boy Scouts of America. Did I get that right?
You sure did, Tyler.
Close enough anyway.
Yes, sir.
Well, welcome, my friend.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Let's talk about scouting. I mean, we all know what scouting is, or at least we've seen the uniforms, and understand. Like I said, I think we go back to my brother was an Eagle Scout, or still is an Eagle Scout. I didn't take that path, but what I think of when I think of scouting is canoes, summer camp, and tying knots, and that's kind of what the iconic vision is, right? But tell me about scouting.
Well, the word iconic is a great descriptor. Since 1910, the Boy Scouts of America has been providing those outdoor adventures for our families, our communities, in ways that really makes a transformational change in the lives of our young people. And the outdoor classroom really is that. It's a classroom where kids learn and have fun. What transforms in them is that they learn to work together. They learn to participate in family activities in positive ways, and the character, the citizenship, and the physical fitness and fitness activities that they participate in really do transform their lives, Tyler.
You know, and you said one thing, character, and to me that resonates with me. And the character, I think, is one of those things that all too often, in my humble estimation, is lost. With people, we're busy, it's hard, but you don't spend a lot of time with your mom and your dad a lot because they're both working and you got your things to do and you got practice. And some of those traits sometimes I think are lost or taught by someone on television. And I think there's a difference whether it's dad teaches you character or maybe a leader, a community leader, a Boy Scout leader. There's that real character building, wouldn't you say?
Well, absolutely. The character in young people is built through example by older folks, their peers, their older youth members, as well as adults who take the time out of their lives to devote to helping young people learn character. And when we say character, we're talking about kids learning a duty to God. No matter what God you worship, we believe in the Boy Scouts of America that it is crucial for young people to have an understanding of their own faith and their families and have a belief in God. And from that stems other really important character traits, such as learning to help other people at all times, right, and to do one's duty to country as well. And so with positive adult role models out there devoting their time, volunteers that take the time to help young people learn these things, it's quite remarkable and transformational.
Tell me, and I want to get back to your application use of God too, because you said something very interesting. I think bears to come back to, but tell me real quick just about the leadership, and I love the fact that they volunteer. These adult leaders who a lot of times probably were scouts themselves on some level or another, but they come back and they actually give back, and it does have such an impact.
There are over 2,000 adult volunteers right here in the Midlands, devoting
2,000 just here.
2,000 just here in the
Gracious.
Midlands. We cover 8 counties in the Indian Waters Council. We've got over 2,000 volunteers spending their time. Right now, as we speak, this time of year, we've got them spending the week, spending their vacation time to be with young people in the outdoor adventures of summer camp. And so volunteerism is something, frankly, it's fairly unique to this country as compared to other parts of the world. People volunteering their time. But to do it to help young people truly is a great thing. And so we're so appreciative of our volunteers, and we need more of them. If there's perhaps one thing that we really could say, what do we need? We need more volunteers.
We need people.
That's right.
I love it, and I just want to circle up on your reference to faith. You know, I think all too often having a faith or a God is under attack at times, it would seem, and the fact that the Boy Scouts, that you believe in a God, and like you said, whatever God you believe in. I think that's an important distinction. Is you guys are not exclusive. It doesn't matter what God it is. You got to believe in that higher power, that somebody, that greater you.
Make no mistake, the Boy Scouts of America, or BSA, has really doubled down on the importance of training young people in developing an understanding and reverence towards God. It's an important part. It's the 12th point of the Scout Law. It's the first point of the Scout Promise, where they promise to do their duty to God and their country, and to help other people at all times. That truly is timeless. That's of timeless value that was important in 1910. But Tyler, perhaps it's even more important today. With everything going on in the world, it's great to know that scouting is there to help young people grow in ways that they have a reverence towards God and a promise every time they're together to do their duty.
I love it. Speaking with Doug Stone, the executive director of the Indian Waters Council, part of the Boy Scouts of America here in the Midlands. So let's walk through the process of scouting. Because you're a Weeblo, then you're a Cub Scout. Is that true? And then you become a boy. Am I getting this right? And if I'm wrong, you can fix me.
Well, Tyler, you know, in the news lately, you've heard a lot about Boy Scouts of America because of our changing programs. And while the character traits and the values that we're talking about have not changed at all. We have the same Scout Oath and the Scout Law. A mile swim is still a mile swim, whether it's a girl swimming or it's a boy swimming.
Sure.
Those requirements are still the same. The programs have adapted.
Okay.
The programs have adapted to today's families.
Sure.
And so it begins in Cub Scouts for, in some cases, kindergarten around in the Midlands here. Cub Scouts starts for kindergarten or first grade. And now we've opened it up in certain communities. They want to have girls as well as boys.
And we'll get to that. We're going to certainly talk about that today, because that certainly made news.
So Cub Scouts is the first program. And then there's the Boy Scouts, which historically, obviously, it's boys.
It's part of the name, sure enough.
It's part of the names, yeah. And and that will always stay just for boys, that particular program.
Right.
Next year, in February of next year, we're going to open up a separate program with the same curriculum, the same program, really, but separate troops for girls. And then we also have, for over almost 50 years, Tyler, the Exploring program. That's a co-ed high school program for girls and boys. You've heard of the Police Explorers, and the Sheriff's Department at Richland County, Lexington County, for example, have co-ed Explorer programs. And then finally, Tyler, we have Venturing and Sea Scouting, actually. Those are co-ed programs at high school level we've had for 20 years.
Sure. Well, so the journey would be then the Cub Scouts, you become a Boy Scout, and you might eventually get to that pinnacle, that Eagle Scout, the diamond of all diamonds, the Eagle Scout. How does one become an Eagle Scout? What sets me apart from a guy I can tie a few knots, but I never quite got to the Eagle Scout? What sets me apart?
There are 3 things. First of all, it begins in the Boy Scout program. And you talk about iconic. The Eagle Scout Award is such an icon. I kind of look at it as the PhD of boyhood.
Right.
And, to get there, to answer your question, you've got to provide service to the community in ways that rise above others. Service, peer leadership, helping others along their scouting trail and leading their peers is a second important part. And then skill development, merit badges. They have to earn 21 different merit badges. And so at every rank of our advancement program in Scouts, they have to do those three things. But Eagle Scouts truly do it far and above. And the pinnacle of our advancement program is, of course, the Eagle Scout Award.
Right.
And of course, the service portion is the Eagle Scout Service Project, where they lead. They don't necessarily do it themselves. They lead others in conducting a major service project to a worthy charitable or a community organization.
And that leadership really is part of scouting, is part of a successful life. You've got to lead, whether you're leading your family, your church, your job. That leadership skill is certainly something that translates. And and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know that astronauts, presidents, police officers, these are all Eagle Scouts. These guys, you look back and it's amazing the amount of people who have gone on to great things. Just happen also on the back of their resume stapled, I'm an Eagle Scout.
And it's fascinating because they do always put that on their resume because it's important.
Sure.
Really, when you talk to an Eagle Scout, you're talking to someone for whom scouting was the foundation of their lives. And here in the Midlands, these are folks who are federal judges, the major governmental leaders that we have in the community, and as you point out, police officers, and the list just goes on and on. It's quite remarkable the Eagle Scout alumni that we have right here in the Midlands.
Doug Stone, the Indian Waters Council Executive Director, Boy Scouts of America. What's the cost for someone, for a family, or if I've got a son, and he's 10, 11, whatever, and I say, I'd like to maybe try to get him into scouting. What is that process like? How do I bring my boy into the Boy Scout program?
The overwhelming majority of our families join scouting through their own school. Okay. And so this fall in August, starting in August, you will start to see and hear, and through this program already, we're hearing how to join scouting right at their local schools. Okay. Because we know that the families are comfortable with going to schools, and so we do a fair amount of recruiting through the schools. Literally, we have a Cub Scout pack. Most kids join at Cub Scout level.
Sure.
And so we have a Cub Scout pack that serves every elementary school here in the Midlands. And so come school time, be on the lookout for ways to join scouting. And right now, it's really easy if someone wants to join for summer programming. It's going ahead to the website, beascout.org. Beascout.org. Or our local council website, Tyler, at indianwaters.org.
We'll put links for you as well at Carolina Cares and over on WVOC. If my son wasn't too interested in scouting when he was a Cub Scout age, but he's maybe a little older, can you jump into scouting? Do you have to start at the Cub Scout age, or can he be maybe slightly older and still get involved in the program?
Great question, and the answer is absolutely. You can join scouting at any level, any age. And that happens all the time. Kids that think that, now I'm in 3rd or 4th grade, or 7th or 8th, or even 11th or 12th grade. There's nothing in the Boy Scouts of America for me. On the contrary, big opportunity to join and be a part of something that is really a growing and dynamic program for young people in today's families.
I love it. Doug Stone, Executive Director, Indian Waters Council. Up next, we're gonna talk to some friends, some scouts. I've got a studio full of scouts, and it's a very eclectic group. As you may have heard, there have been some changes that are going through and some new programming with the scouts, but it does turn out, as we learned a few minutes ago, that the changes that we think the Boy Scouts of America are going through aren't really anything new. They've been doing the integration of genders. It's not new, although you might think so. We'll explain all that coming up in a couple of minutes. Carolina Cares is coming right back.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com.
Stay focused. Now that's a major key alert.
Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Carolina Cares. I'm Tyler Ryan, and today we're talking about scouting. Boy Scouts of America. Be a scout. There are so many iconic taglines, I guess, that I can think of growing up through the years. Many of my friends have gone through scouting. I have more Eagle Scouts than I realize, which is funny because speaking with Doug Stone, the executive director of the Indian Waters Council, the actual number of scouts that become Eagle Scouts is pretty tiny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's these days it's around 6%.
So 6%. And how many
right.
scouts are there in America, give or take?
Oh, there are millions. I don't know. I think it's 2.3 million.
So only 6% of that large group, a tiny sliver.
Well, the 6% that join Scouts
right.
go on to become an Eagle Scout, and so it is quite a unique group.
Sure.
And we find that today they're throughout our community, leading today our businesses, our government, and a variety of things.
And families and even our faith groups and churches. And that's an important thing because leadership, I think, starts with your family, too. You got to be a dad. You got to lead your family, you know. And in some cases, that turns out you can be a mom now, too. Of course, the big news that's happened in the last year or two has made news is the integration of girls into the Boy Scouts or scouting in general. But the reality is, as we've learned a few minutes ago here, this isn't anything new. Girls have been integrated to an extent with Boy Scouts reaching back, 46 years to 71 or something like that?
Yeah, Tyler, 1971, the Exploring program went co-ed. Mm-hmm. That's a career-focused vocational program, co-ed high school program,
right.
Such as the law enforcement, the police explorers that we have here in our communities, or fire and EMS explorers. It's a great program that's been around for a long time. Venturing is a high school co-ed program that we've offered for 20 years. This year's the 20th anniversary, and that's very much outdoor-based a co-educational program. However, this summer, Tyler, we are so excited to offer Cub Scouting to girls, just as we've always, since 1933, offered it for boys.
Right.
And so, when Cub Scouts came around in the early 30s, it was unheard of. They thought that, well, that's the end of the Boy Scout program.
Sure.
And lo and behold, we now have more Cub Scouts than we do even Boy Scouts these days. And what we've heard is today's families, they really do things together. They really want to do things together. That's one reason when they polled parents internally in our organization, as well as in the community, overwhelmingly they said, yeah, we would have our daughter in a Cub Scout program,
sure.
Or our older girls in an older girl program if the Boy Scouts of America offered it.
Sure. And the important thing before you start thinking and going, oh my goodness, the separation of, I say church and state, but the separation still is there. It's not a full integration. It's not co-ed camps or co-ed cabins, I'm assuming. I don't know. You tell me. How does that play out?
Well, forever, the Cub Scout outdoor program, overnight program, is called family camping. And we've always had girls, siblings, sisters, participating with the boy Cub Scouts and going camping. And so that's nothing new in terms of the structures of Camp Barstow and other policies. That's always been in place. Only now, and we know that the girls have participated in things just informally in many of our Cub Scout packs.
Sure.
Now they can get recognized and be awarded for being a part of that through separate dens altogether from the boys. And so we have girl dens and boy dens. And it's really taking off as we've just started this program here in the Midlands just this year.
Sure. And so really, it's for all the folks who think that the Chicken Littles, that the world is crashing down, that the Cub Scouts is the end of the Boy Scouts, there's really not a lot different. It's just now organized and the girls get recognized is what I'm hearing. Doing the same thing.
That's
to
right.
an extent.
And we're doing it because of what our families have told us, not what outside organizations or groups have pressured scouting. We have heard our parents, and we have some girls here today and their families who can talk about this, but they've said, listen, we're going to this program and that program. It'd be great if we could have some things together that y'all offered expanded programming for girls. And that's exactly what we're doing.
I love it. Talking scouting today, Carolina Cares. Doug Stone, the executive director of the Indian Waters Council here, covers the Midlands. Just tons and tons of folks involved, scouts and volunteers, and some scouts here. So speaking of integration of the girls and the Boy Scouts, all right, I have got the Perez family. Let's see. Lucia, did I say that right? Lucia? And Luce. Yes. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good.
Good. Go ahead and talk right into that microphone. It won't hurt. I promise. I promise. So you guys are, so what do you call it? Are you Cub Scouts then? Is that what you're called?
Yeah.
Yeah? How long have you been scouting? We'll phone a friend here. That'll be fine. A few months. All right. I'm getting the cue cards from. We've got some leaders and moms in here as well. So there you go. A few months, ladies. So let me ask you this: why did you want to be a scout? All right. That's good. You're doing fine. I love looks. It's radio. I love looks.
Could I speak up for?
Sure. Well, I first want to introduce Mary Lombardi. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you for asking. Let me ask you the same question. Why? Well, you're a scout. Why did you want to scout?
I wanted to be a scout because I feel like it's important to me,
Mhm.
and that it would be like it would impact my career when I get older, and I could have Eagle Scout on my resume.
Right.
And being an Eagle Scout, that can help you get into more jobs because it helps, like, say that you're more responsible and things like that. So I just feel like it would help me and that it's really fun so far. And so
there. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 11.
You're 11. You're already well spoken. She's ready to just give her the Eagle Scout badge. Be fine. So we've also got a mom. Hi. Tell me your name.
Hi, I'm Jen.
Hey, Jen. You can wave to me, but we're on the radio. But
Yeah,
that's
sorry.
okay.
We're in a room.
That's all right.
There's people and faces. To everybody out there, I'm waving. Y'all can't see me, but it happened. But as a mom, I've been taking both of them since he was a tiger cub.
Right.
And she would go and she would participate a little bit, and it got to a point where she kind of felt like she was on the outside of it, except for those camping trips. But she was a trooper. She sat there, and the whole time she was just doing her own thing.
Right.
And now she feels like she's a full-fledged member. She's actually a part of that family and gets to participate. It's not just about being recognized. It's about the openness and the willingness to be and our pack is great. She's been included from the beginning, but it was kind of more of she felt like she was in the way a little bit.
Sure. No, I understand.
And now
that.
there's a place for her, which is amazing. And we were fortunate to be in a group that did an early adopters edition, so we've kind of been working out the kinks for everybody.
I guess.
And she came in as a Weeblo and earned her Arrow of Light. So that's what
Arrow
she's
of Light,
working
and
on
there it
now.
is. Now, through the process, Doug, can she now eventually become an Eagle Scout as well?
Well, our program for older girls begins actually in February of 2019.
Okay.
And so when that program rolls out, there will be separate troops for girls
Right.
in certain areas. Some troops, some chartered organizations that sponsor scouting will just keep Boy Scout troops, what we consider Boy Scout troops today, and they won't have a new program. But some areas, they really want to have a girl troop, and so there will be separate program for girls, and it'll be the same curriculum. Just as our girl Cub Scout program is the same curriculum as our boy Cub Scouts, that will also be the same, but separate. We believe that the character building traits of scouting are just as important for girls as it is for boys. And those timeless values that they learn in scouting are truly things that both girls and boys find relevant and fun. And that whole world of adventure opens up to them.
Sure.
And so it will for older girls starting in February of next year, that advancement program to Eagle Scout. And that iconic brand of Eagle Scout, I'm an Eagle Scout. I felt like, at first I'm like, wow, girls being Eagle Scouts. I'm not sure about that. Whoa. But you know what? We believe truly that the more Eagle Scouts out there, the more people that live up to the traits of helping other people at all times and to achieving those things, the better.
Of course.
And the requirements are still going to be the same.
And that's an important distinction, too. I do have a question I'm sure a lot of folks do, and they may be listening and ask, how does the Girl Scout program, because there already is the Girl Scouts, you have Boy Scouts, you have Girl Scouts, what's the difference and how does that integrating, I assume they're two separate organizations, but how does that integrate together? I think that's a question that bears at least touching on.
Well, they are two separate organizations. Today's families need options. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a Girl Scouts or a 4-H or a Boys and Girls Club or a Heritage Girls or the Boy Scouts of America. And so we're just offering more options. Now, the Girl Scouts in our area, we love the Girl Scouts. They're great. It's just a different program. They use our camps all the time, Camp Barstow, and we had a large group of them out there, and they utilize that. And so we very much support and appreciate the great things that the Girl Scouts program does. We're just offering different programs within our own organization that we feel provides today's families options.
So the Girl Scouts aren't going anywhere. So if somebody's been involved in the Girl Scouts, this is not the end. And I just want to make sure that was clear as well. This doesn't signify the end of the Girl Scout program.
No, not at all. That's right.
I'm kidding. Everyone's going, no!
Yeah, the Girl Scouts are great.
I'm feeling like the answer is no to that question. We were talking about volunteering and volunteerism in the last segment, Doug, about the fact that there's 2,000, give or take, volunteers who assist the missions of these scouts, and that's just in the Midlands. This isn't 2,000 across the country. It's 2K here. And one of the things that was brought up was you don't necessarily have to have a scouting background to be a scout leader, and I think that's important too. Because if somebody wants to volunteer, like me, I never was a scout. I just didn't go that route, and I regret a lot of things in life, and that's one of them. But it doesn't mean I can't still be a scout leader. Tell me about that.
Well, you're helping out the Scouts in a variety of ways, Tyler, and you always have by providing us an opportunity to share the story. But really, scouting is for a wide range of young people as well as adults. And to volunteer in scouting, you can be a merit badge counselor helping young people learn a particular skill. You can help out at a local day camp. We have lots of different day and twilight camps going on, even as we speak throughout the Midlands. And so there's an opportunity to get plugged in as lending your time and support to today's families. We have it literally, as I said, we serve every elementary school in the area in the Midlands, and so there is a spot for those that want to get plugged in, and we would ask them to just give us a contact on indianwaters.org or our office directly via telephone at 803-750-9868.
All right, indianwaters.org. And what is the other website address you had for
The other one is for joining Cub Scouts and joining Boy Scouts. It's called beascout.org.
Beascout.org. You keep it simple. Doug Stone, the Executive Director of the Indian Waters Council here in Scouting. It's such a great organization. So many. And if you ask, you bet you know more Scouts than you know. And so interesting stuff this morning. Ladies, thank you for coming in. Say hi. Yeah. Say bye.
Thanks for
bye.
We're so proud of you all.
Great stuff. They're like, oh my goodness gracious. It is a lot of fun, but get involved. It's a fantastic program. Doug, thank you for your time and your commitment to all these young Scouts.
Thank you.
Guys, Carolina Cares is coming right back. Do not move.
Knowing your breasts can save your life. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. Brought to you by Susan G. Komen and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Carolina Cares. Boy, a very enlightening 30 minutes, right? Interesting to learn about some of the history of scouting, of Boy Scouting, the Eagle Scout, that diamond, that pinnacle that you still attach to your resume. Astronauts and certainly first responders and military leaders, family leaders, all Eagle Scouts. It's very interesting to learn about that, but of course the other piece of that is the perceived integration of girls into Boy Scouting, and it does turn out that having girls around Boy Scouting is really nothing new. So that was a very enlightening conversation as well. Doug Stone, the Executive Director of the Indian Waters Council here in the Midlands, the Boy Scouts in the Midlands. 2,000 volunteers just here in our community, and they're always looking for more. You heard those the websites to get involved for your child, or if you want to volunteer. Again, you don't have to necessarily have been a scout to make an addition and make a contribution to this great program. Guys, if you'd like to be a guest or know someone who would be a great guest here on Carolina Cares, please email me, tylerryan@iheartmedia.com. My name is Tyler Ryan, and that is going to do it for this week's edition of Carolina Cares. We'll talk to you in 7 days. Be good to each other.